Okay, here we go. We're going to mix up the bread dough. I'm going to turn on the scale, let it count down to 0. You want to make sure it's in grams, which it is. Put the bowl on here, and then we're going to 0 out the bowl. And then I'm going to go by my recipe. Which is going to be 700 grams of water. Okay, so there we have 700 grams. We're going to add 200 grams of starter. And that's how you know that that's a good leaven right there. You got enough carbon dioxide built up and that thing floats. So that's a good sign. I forgot to 0 out the scale, but that means we'll just take it to 900. Okay, that was a little bit over, but close enough. Recipe is pretty flexible. And now I'm going to mix this up. Okay, so I've got this pretty well mixed up. It doesn't have to be perfect, just the starter and the water there. And now I'm going to 0 it out and going to add in the bread flour. So I'm using King Arthur's bread flour, but you can use whatever bread flour. And I'm going to put 900 grams in here. And if I'm short on this, which I think I am, I'm just going to use some regular all-purpose flour. I do like the bread flour better, but all-purpose can also work. So I am a little shy on that. And I'll make it up in bread flour. Flour is fairly inexpensive, so it's worth getting a good quality flour. You go to a lot of work and trouble to make a homemade loaf of bread, so you might as well buy the good flour. And we're about up to 600 there. Going for 900. Almost there. Okay, that's about 900 there. And then you add 100 grams of some other flour for flavor. And you can use spelt or wheat or rye or a combination thereof. Something stone ground or locally ground that you can find in your local area is awesome. I'm just going to use a Hodgson Mills rye flour. I did it by accident last time and I actually liked the way it came out. So we're just going to do 100 grams of that to bring it to 1,000. And this actually will make 2 loaves, this 1,000, which is awesome because you go through all this work. If you're not going to eat 2 loaves, you share one. That's the fun part. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to mix this up. You can use your fingers or a tool. Either way, I'm going to turn the scale off and just get it out of the way. I'm going to use it later to measure out salt and water. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix this with my hands. It's kind of messy, this phase. And we're trying to incorporate all the water into the flour. And then we're going to let it sit. Autolyse phase. Let the flour absorb all the water before we add the salt in. So you can see how this is kind of looking. Really, like, this is what I call shaggy looking. And that's okay. I'm going to pause this and get my hand out of here. Actually, it might be good if you can kind of see this part. So there we go. You can see what it kind of looks like. It's sort of messy, hasn't come together yet. So I'm going to let this sit for a half an hour and put a shower cap over that while it sits. Set my timer for half an hour and I'll be back. Right, when my bread is resting for 30 minutes, I've just weighed out 50 grams of warm water, and I'm going to add 20 grams of sea salt. There we go. I'm just using this, but you can use whatever. And we're going to add this after it rests for half an hour. Okay, it's been a half an hour. Bread's been resting. And that's what it looks like. And here we've got our sea salt and water that we've weighed out. I'm going to add it in. Just want to make sure we get all of it. And then we're just going to squish it all together. Okay, now we're going to let that sit for another half hour. Okay, it's been 30 minutes and now we're going to do the first fold. I'm going to wet my hands so that it sticks a little bit less. I'm just going to pull it away from the bowl and pick that edge up and fold it over. And I'm going to work my way around the bowl 4 to 6 times, folding. And you can, as you do this each time, you can start to get the stretchiness of it. So, there. That's a fold, and you can see it's starting to come together a little better. I'm going to let that sit another 30 minutes. Okay, I've now turned this bread about 5 times every half hour. I'm going to show you what to do next. We're going to shape it and get it ready to rest in the fridge for the next 12 to 24 hours. So, just loosening it from the bowl. And I'm going to put a little flour on the counter here where I place it. Not too much. I'm going to cut this in half. See, you just kind of fold it over just like you did in the bowl. And then once you get it folded into a nice ball, you're going to kind of drag it. Clean my hands a little. Alright, so we're going to kind of drag that. Oh, I gotta clean my hands. Hold on. This one's going a little smoother. I'm gonna do the same thing with this loaf. one's also ready to go in the fridge for the next 12 to 24 hours. Okay, bread's been in the fridge a little bit overnight. Maybe not quite 12 hours, it could go longer. But I'm putting it in the oven. I've got the other one in there already. I'm gonna add some boiling water to that pan that I put underneath, so we can get some nice warm steam going. There we go. And we'll add the other one. So there. Now I'm going to let that rise for about 3 hours. Okay, these have been in here for a few hours, maybe not quite 3. And I'm going to get ready to cook one at a time off because I only have one cast iron Dutch oven. You can see the one in the back there is a little more active and risen looking than this one. So I'm going to cook the one in the back first. So I'm going to pull this one out and set it aside. And then I'm going to be cooking this one. So I'll work with this one and show you how it's done. Okay, so I've got this dough here and I've got a piece of parchment out. I'm going to spray it with non-stick spray. And then I'm going to flip it out of the basket and pray it comes out. It did, yay, good news. There we go. All right, I gotta get my misting bottle, which I forgot to get ready, so I'm gonna pause for a sec. Okay, I've got my bottle ready now. I'm just gonna give this a mist with water. And then I'm going to sprinkle some flour on the top. And I just use a tea ball that has some flour in it. And I take some stencils made for painting. And I just go ahead and drop some flour on there. Oops, looks like I got a refill. Sorry about that. Doesn't work as good when it's so full. Oopsie. I'm going to get the other one that dropped. Put it over here too. That's the gist of that. So you can see a nice little pattern on there now, and I'm going to make some slices. I use a medical scalpel, but you can use a razor blade or a special tool made for slicing bread. Not real good at this, as you can see, and you don't have to be. This isn't a perfect science, so don't worry. Alright, then this whole thing is going to go in the cast iron Dutch oven. Just right here. I literally just drop it in, and you won't believe it, but I just turned on my oven just now, literally, so I know the oven's still cold, and that is okay. I can actually stick this right in the cold oven, and it works beautifully. So the lid goes on and I'm plopping it in the oven. And turn your oven as high as it will go, like 500 degrees or 450, and we're going to put this in for half hour. It's been a half an hour or so. I forgot to set the timer at first, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm taking off the lid. Not too bad. And now it'll go for another 30 minutes and hopefully get nice and brown. Right, so it's been a half an hour with the lid off and it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to take it out and set it up top there. Turn the oven off, and I put it on top of this other big cast iron pan to help it cool faster because I still need to bake off the other loaf. So I got to bring the oven back down to cold because I do put in the first round with the oven cold. So now a little bit of cooling. And don't burn yourself on the cast iron stuff, it's really hot.